You've got to remember the only people in Great Britain who have had their election are the Conservative Party members. Basically, 1 year ago in Birmingham, and we talked about this a lot at the time, he was the disruptive force that you mentioned as well. Really, no one cared what Mrs May had to say compared with hearing about what Boris Johnson had to say. 1 year later, and 160,000 Tory members voting, pretty much a large percentage of them for Boris Johnson. It's all about him, and it's all about Brexit as well. And we can talk at length about what's going down in Westminster. We can talk at length about the allegations of personal misconduct against the Prime Minister, and we can talk about these things as well, because it's election manifesto issues such as schools, National Health Service, the police. But look what it's really about. Its number one issue is getting Brexit done. That is front and foremost. That the metaphor of having that at the front of all the banners is not lost on anyone here. So we can talk about a lot of things, but basically it's still about Brexit and whether Boris Johnson can deliver Brexit for the British people or not, regardless of timescales, regardless of what's going on in Westminster. And that is a very key point, because of course Westminster is still sitting. No recess, no prorogation. That wasn't the case after we heard the Supreme Court. So they're sitting. So the Tory members of Parliament here at any point may have to hot-foot it down to Westminster to vote on, well, various issues. In the meantime, we spoke to one of the key cabinet ministers yesterday, amongst a whole host of people. We'll get you some tape now. But the Secretary of State for Health as well, Matt Hancock, he's got his own announcements talking about health. Again, it looks very manifesto-like as well. But I asked him about Brexit. And I asked him, actually, is there any progress being made? Because there's very conflicting reports about what is actually going on. This is what he says about progress.
There's no doubt that the level of engagement and the level of detail is increasing. Steve Barclay was in Brussels on Friday and had very positive talks. I think that everybody recognises that it's in everyone's interest to get a deal, because the alternative of leaving with no deal is not as good for Europe, and it's not as good for us. So the incentives are there because it's in everyone's interest to leave with a deal. That is the best way forward.
Now, that's very interesting. So you've got a cabinet minister there, former leadership contender, of course, Matt Hancock, saying it's in everyone's interest to leave with a deal. But then I spoke to one of the other key ministers, the Minister of Security, who's number 2 at DEXU, the number 2 to Steve Barclay, Brandon Lewis, former Conservative Party chairman, and said to him, look, you can't leave without a deal, can you? Because of the Benn Act. The Benn Act is the act that was forced upon the government, which says Parliament decides if there's a no deal after negotiations with the EU, and we'll take control of this after October the 19th if you haven't made any progress. So surely that negates the fact there can't be a no deal. Well, let's listen to Brandon Lewis.
We've been very clear all the way along. The Prime Minister's been absolutely crystal clear. We are leaving on the 31st of October.
But the Benn Act says you can't.
Well, first of all, the Benn Act forgets that there are more than one player in this. There's a European Union, and so it is still possible to leave without a deal. And that's why it's right. And in fact, I'll be going back to London myself during the course of this week for meetings to make sure we are prepared for any outcome. But the focus for all of us in government, all of us in the Cabinet and the Prime Minister, is to get a deal. And that's what he'll be going out to the European Council on the 16th, 17th of October to do.
Now, again, very important to read between the lines. He said, look, the government's only one player as well. So is he saying that maybe with the help from the government here in the UK, that there would be another party within Europe who would say, no, the Brits can't have another extension? Again, just chucking that question out there as well. Now, what about the unity of this party? We heard from one of the 21 MPs who've lost the Conservative whip earlier on, Alistair Burt, but a very important senior member of the Conservative Party, Damien Green, head of the One Nation Conservatives as well, former de facto number 2 to Theresa May in the early part of her reign as Prime Minister here in the United Kingdom as well. He's talking about the dangers of not getting a deal now. Bearing in mind this man is a Remainer. Very interesting what he says, not only for Brexit, but also about the whole political class. Listen to Damien Green.
Well, I think getting it to October 31st is really important, because one of the things, frankly, the biggest thing that actually ended Theresa May's Prime Ministership was the fact that she had said for a long time we were going to leave on March 29th, and we didn't. And I think it would be very dangerous, actually, for the whole political system if we fail to meet the next deadline as well. You know, people have said that they're fed up of politicians saying something and then not delivering. So actually delivering the date of October 31st does seem to me to be very important.
And I thought that was very interesting because distrust of politicians, I guess globally, but certainly in the UK at the moment, very, very low. People are very upset if they see the shenanigans going on in Westminster as well. So actually he believes that actually just getting Brexit out of the way is so important before people can re-establish any form of confidence in their political class.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.